What's up YouTube? My name is Robbie Barry Jones and welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so today we're going to do a cover art. I've already done it and this is the design that I did. I'm going over this work and recording the process so you guys can also get some tips and tricks, but mainly my main purpose for doing this video is to teach you guys the color grade that I used in this design. Yes, but then I'm going to start with the background and to the color grade, to the text, and some few finishing touches, and I think we're good to go. Yes, so I have the folder with the image and all those things. I'm going to leave a link in the description with the background and the image and everything, but I'm going to exclude this guy's image because it's his image and I can't use that. I can't give you guys the same thing, so you might have to get a different image to use for your own personal works. Yeah, so first of all I'm going to create a new workspace, and normally I will go with 20 inches by 20 inches, so I'm just going with that. So yes, 20 inches by 20 inches, and this is how it turns out to be. So I'm just going to add my rulers real quick, make sure everything is cool, everything is in place, and yeah, then we're going to start with the background. So first of all, we're going to bring this colored, is sort of like a rainbow background type of thing, but there's mostly all the colors in the image except green. I think we're missing green. Yeah, let's wait just a few minutes for it to open up. Yeah, so this is the image. So I think we don't have green in here. Yeah, we almost had green. I think this is cyan 2 might represent green. So yeah, we're going to hit enter and make sure the image loads into the design the workspace like this. Then scale it up to fill the whole screen, then position it up like this. So now we're going to have this background on the upper side of the design, then the lower part we're just going to add like a solid color there. So I'm going to select black. You see we have the edges here as black, so I'm going to select black, then select the rectangle and just draw a rectangle down here so that it covers the whole space just like this. So after this I'm going to make sure I merge these two, the rectangle and the image. So Ctrl E for the merge, and yeah, so we've merged now, and the next thing to do is add a gradient map to the whole thing. So gradient map on top of the rectangle plus the image merged together. Then we're going to select the colors that we want to use. So here there are a lot of colors in my gradient. I don't know the colors that you're going to use, but you can go for any color that you want. In this first one that I did, I went with pink, and the main reason why I went with pink was because it's a love song and it's a, yeah, so I don't know, I just have to go with that. So I'm going to save this gradient, then apply it in there. So just click on new, and that's it, your gradient is added to the list of gradients. So I'm going to head back into this work, click on the gradient map, and boom, that it's very simple, you understand, very, very simple. Then the next thing I'm going to do is bring in this kind of textured background. It is it kind of gives me the, how should I put it, there's more like a lot of textures in this image, so it really gives off the effect that I want. So I'm going to scale this to fill the whole screen. Then I'm going to hold shift plus alternate and just make sure it fills the sides too, just like this, and I'm going to click on enter. So after enter, you see it's very visible. We have it in a normal spectrum right now, but we have to make sure it is merging with the whole thing. So I'm just going to select soft light. You understand, this is soft light right here, and it merges the texture with the background. So right now you're looking at the background and you still see the texture and everything in the background. Okay, so I have my spotlight here, so I'm just going to add the spotlight to the whole thing and make sure it fills the sides and the upper parts of the design. Click enter, and as you can see we are making progress, and this hasn't even taken like 4 or 5 minutes or something. Yes, so there's one thing that I do. You see, the spotlight is made out of black, and I don't really want the black to be like pure black. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I'm going to duplicate the gradient map. There's Control J. Then I'm going to place it on top of the spotlight, then clip it into the spotlight alone. So now instead of having like a deeper black, we're going to have the pink and the sort of wine color in the spotlight. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Yes, so let me turn off the gradient map for you to see. Yes, this is the spotlight without the gradient map, and this is the spotlight with the gradient map. Yes, this is how it turns out to be. So I'm going to lock the backgrounds and the things that are going to get in my way. Yes, this is what we have now. So after doing this, basically you can add anything you want to add. So let's go back to the original work. After doing the background, there was nothing else to add, so I mean I just went straight into the image and that was it. Yes, so it's the same thing you are looking at right here. Okay, so now the first part is done. That's the background is done, so we're going to move on to the second part, that is the color grade of the image. So I'm going to give a shout out to this guy right here, Kwesi Fate Music, and I mean he's good, so you guys can check him out and stuff. So with the image, I didn't really want to go with the blue jeans and all those things, so I had to crop his image to like the waist side, and yeah, so select the eraser, click on the image, and it says rasterize. Click on OK, and now our image is rasterized, and I chose, I am choosing the bloody rectangle. So the rectangle, marquee 2, I'm just going to erase the jeans because I don't want the jeans. Then I'm going to scale it up to fill the lower part of the design like this. Okay, so with this I want you guys to have like your attention. I want your attention to be more on the color grade, or how we're going to transform this into this. You understand? So I want you guys to pay attention. That's the thing. So first of all, the image that you're going to color grade should be very high. It shouldn't be like a phone image, like an iPhone image, or no, it should be like a camera, like a professional camera image, something like that, because you have the pixels higher in that image, so you get what you want. So first of all, we're going to duplicate the image, duplicated. Then we're going to head into camera raw filter. The main reason why we're entering into camera raw filter is we're going to add more clarity to the image. That's why we've duplicated it. We don't want to add it to the original image. So here is camera raw. I'm just going to add a clarity to it. Or I'm pretty sure you guys have my my effects, the presets that I use most of the time. I have intense dramatic portraits, so you can either set the clarity high, or you just select intense dramatic portrait, something like this. Then if you want to increase the size, the exposure, just increase it. And when you look at the image here, you see on his face, these sides are very bright, and I don't want that, so I'm just going to select the radial filter. I'm pretty sure you've heard of. If you've not heard of it, this is what it does. Let's say I'm doing something here and I want to exclude or include a part. For example, I want to select only the face of this guy and tone down the exposure. So I'm going to select the radial filter, then I'm going to drag in his face like this. Like I have made a selection to edit only the middle part here. So whatever I do, the exposure, contrast, highlight, everything I do happens to the selection in the middle here. You understand? So I'm just going to tone down the exposure just like so, and yes, I'm good to go. So after that, you can just go back to the edit here, and your effect is done. So I'm just going to hit OK for the effect to load into the duplicated image. Okay, so the effect we added is now in, and when you look at this, it makes the image look very sharp. I'm pretty sure I've already taught something on this, but then it's always good to go back to things that you've touched on. Yes, so now that we have the intense dramatic portraits working here, we're just going to reduce the opacity a little bit. So the main reason why we are reducing the opacity is because, let's say I brought in the intense dramatic portrait and it's too much. If I added it to the original image, I would have to, I wouldn't know how to take down the effect. So duplicating it allows you to reduce the effect if you want to, anytime you want to, and it's very cool. So now I'm just going to tone it down to 85% and I'm good to go. And after that, I'm not really sure if I'm going to go back to the original image, because this is what I want it to be now. So I'm just going to merge the two of them. So Control E for the merge and we're good to go. So now the next thing to do is to add a gradient map. So this is how it works. We have a lot of ways to do your color grades. You can either enter into Camera Raw and move to the color grade panel, or you can add a gradient overlay, or you can add a gradient map. It depends, but most of the time I work with gradient maps. So I'm just going to select the image, then select gradient map, and make sure it is clipped into the image. So when you look at this image right here, we have a black and white as the gradient map colors, and this is how it is affecting the image. So now I want to change this to a different color, so I'm just going to select the black and choose let's say a deeper side of pink, something like this. Then I'm going to click on OK, and you see there's this white side here. I'm going to tone the white side to something deeper like this. No, something white, something like this. Yes, so it depends. Now that I'm done with this, you see we have only two colors. It's either I add a darker color to this side. You see there's now it's three, and these two are the same thing. So I'm just going to add a deeper color to the other end, and you see the kind of effect it takes on the image. Yes, so we have a lighter color, a lower lighter color, and a deeper color. Yes, so when you adjust these, it affects how the image looks like. And let's say the white or the lighter color is more at the edge, it is a different look to the image, and this one too is a different look to the image. Yes, so now that we're done with this, I'm just going to click on OK, and now we have something here. So it's either I reduce the opacity for the gradient map, something like this, and now when you look at the image, you see that we've color graded it. We have the pinky color going on at the background, you understand, and it's more like it is complementing the background. You see the background is more like a pink sort of vibes, you understand, and yeah, it is complementing it right now. So now let's move on, and yeah, and it is complementing the background. So yeah, let's move on to the next thing. So you see what we have here, this is more like the foundation to the glitter thing. Yes, so now we're going to move on to the next thing. I am going to create a new layer on top of the image. We see there's the gradient map there, but I'm going to create a new layer on top of the image like this. And now you see we're working with pink, so I'm going to select pink as our color right here, then select the brush and just put like a small dab here. Yeah, then I'm going to set it to screen and reduce the opacity a little bit. This is one thing that we can do. And then under the image, you see under the image right here, we're going to create another new layer, then change the foreground color to white, select the brush, reduce the size a little bit, then dab right here, you understand. Then we're just going to make that a little bit smaller and reduce the opacity for it to, yeah. So now that we have this out of the way, we can move on to the next thing. So it's more like a personal preference. There is nothing like follow this to do this. Just create, do something, like have fun. I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say? Have fun with the image, you understand? Yeah. So the next thing to do is I'm going to create a hue and saturation on top of the gradient map. Then I'm going to clip it to the gradient map right here, And now the next thing I'm going to do is, you see there's the properties for the hue and saturation here. So I'm going to set colorize. And what the you see, there's another way to color grade your images. You can also do that by using the colorize effect right here, but then I mean it doesn't really work for me, so I don't work with that one. I just go with the gradient map and I'm good to go. So now this is how it's going to work. We're going to select the color that we are working with, that's the pink. Then you're going to bring up the saturation and also the lightness as well. You see there's more light in it now. Nice. Then we're going to drop it in the middle like this. Okay, so after doing this, we're going to hit Ctrl I to invert the effect that we did. So we've inverted the effect right now, and the main reason why we are inverting is that we don't want the effect to appear, we want the effect to appear where we want it to appear. So now I'm going to select brush and make sure we have white set as the foreground color. Then you see we have this light here, so it means we are going to have more light emitting from this area, you understand. And when you look on the upper part here, we have this light from the background, the main background that we started with. So let's assume that these lights are giving out light, like they are producing light out of the image, you understand. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to brush the edges very, very smoothly like this. Brush the edges very smoothly, not much, just keep brushing, and make sure to brush on the upper part too, because those places are also affected by the light. And the right side rather, here also, just like this. You see, one thing about graphic design, color grading is very part of the design process. You need to color grade your images. I mean, what is good with you doing a good background, then your image is not color graded, it is going to look some way. Yeah, so now that we're done with this, we're going to move on to the next thing. You see, it is more like we've added a glow around the head of the image. Let me look at this one for you guys to see. You see there's this thing here, that is the glow that we added. And now there's going to be more like I don't know, there's this thing called dodge and bend in photography. Yes, we're going to do something of that sort in here as well. So now that we have this out of the way, we're going to create another hue and saturation, then clip it to the image. The reason why we're clipping is we don't want it to affect the whole thing, we just want it to affect the image only. Then we're going to colorize again, then make sure we are working with a whiter lightness. You see the lightness is more white now, and it is very cool. I mean, this is what we want to work with right here. So now now that we have this, how should I put it, the color is going to remain the same, but the saturation, come on, what am I saying, the saturation is going to be low. Then we are going to invert it. So now we've inverted it, meaning we're going to apply it to where we want it to be applied to. So now I want just a little bit at this side here, the white, I want a little bit at this side here, and just a little bit at this side here. So I'm just going to do that like so, just a little bit like this. Then I'm going to add a little bit to this side like so, you understand. Yes, the main idea behind the color grade is already done. That is the first thing we did with the gradient map, but this is just some small touch that you need to add to make the design look more exquisite, make the text the image look more dope, more dazzling, more, yeah, you understand. So now that we're done with this, we're going to move on to the next thing. And you see we created a new layer and added like a tint or like a brush there, and set the blend mode to screen. We're going to duplicate it, then drag it to the other side. By this time around, we're going to reduce the opacity to, I mean, as low as it can be, very, very low, something like this. Yes. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. We're going to create a new layer behind the image. Yes, and that new layer is going to be a brush. We're going to paint around the image, and we're going to use the pink to do that. So I'm just going to brush like this. we're doing this behind the image. Yes, and do same thing for the other side as well. You see, I'm having fun here. I'm just playing around with the image, and that's how it's supposed to be. You don't have to take these things like, I mean, it should be fun. You should have fun with this whole thing. So now that I'm done with this, I'm going to reduce the opacity because I don't want it to be too much. Yes, and now let's keep on going. You see the white hue and saturation that we created, we need to add some to the edges of the image. You see there is no light emitting from this side, but it is very necessary to add the white as well, because definitely there is this light on his face, so we are assuming that there is a light coming from the front of the image, you understand? So definitely some is going to touch on his hands, and yeah, that is a very good look. So now that we're done, we're just going to create another hue and saturation, clip it to the image, and this time around we're going to make it more darker, you understand, and reduce the saturation as well, more darker like this. Then we are going to set it to invert. So now we've inverted it, so wherever we want the darkness to appear, I mean, we're just going to brush over it. So now let me brush. I want the dark areas to be at this side. See where the shadows are, I want them to be very much more darker, so I'm just going to brush them. And don't worry, I'm brushing big so I can erase some. That is how it works. You brush big, then you erase some. So after doing this, I'm going to click on X on the keyboard, and X simply switches between the white and the black. So now we are at the black, and the black means you can erase whatever you did. So I'm just going to erase the parts that I don't want, something like this. You see, something like this. So you have to make the brush bigger so that you can use the eraser or the X to do much work to it. Then you reduce the opacity and you're good to go. Yes, so this is if I toggle it off and on, and it is looking very good. Yes, so now that we have this out of the way, let me check the original work to see. Yeah, I did something small in his chain, but I don't really think it is necessary, unless you guys might think I should still do it. Okay, so I created a new layer, selected yellow, and I brushed the yellow on the chain and just used the blend mode. Yeah, so I just brushed on the chain like this. Then I worked around the blend mode, so you just have to go through the blend mode, keep going, keep going, keep going, so you have the one that you think, oh, this one is cool. So I'm just going to go with this, then I'll reduce the opacity for it real quick, something like this. Very simple, and it sets the chain apart. Let me just toggle it on and off. Yes, this is how it works. Yes, so now the next thing we need to get to is the text. We are done with the image. Yes, I'm pretty sure this is what is here. I mean, the idea here is not the same thing I've done right now. It's not going to be the same thing, so you guys should know. Yes, I've even tried, you understand? Yes, so let's move on to the next thing, and we're going to select the text. So the text that I did, I made sure it was behind the image. It was behind the image, so we are going to click on the gradient panel here because it is behind the image. Then I'm going to select the text, and the text is just going to be there. So the song title was Yawa. Yes, it is Yawa. So select the text and just okay, it's now in. So I'm just going to type Yawa like so. Then select it all. I'm going to change the font for it. So the font that I used was a brush font, and guys, let me just go through real quick and look for it. Yeah guys, so I found it, and the name is Deadstock Demo. Yes, that is the font I used for the text Yawa. So with the text, there's not much to it. I mean, just the regular how do you call it, outer glows and shadows and all those things. Yeah, so I'm going to scale this up as big as enough so it can be placed down here. And just so you guys should know, I'm working only on the main text, that's the yawa alone. For the others, I don't think they are necessary to include in the tutorial, so I'm just going to work with only this. So the main reason why I am creating the Y separately is because there was this space there between the Y and the AWA. It was too much, so I had to do something about it. Okay, so now that we have this out of the way, I'm going to merge them because I wouldn't have to text them again. Then I'm going to create a drop shadow real quick. You see that drop shadow is very necessary. Yes, then click OK. Now I'm going to separate the drop shadow from the main text, so create layer to separate it from the drop shadow, to separate it from the text, because we want to. Yes, now that we have the drop shadow separated, I'm going to reduce it small like this, drop it down. Then I'm going to reduce the opacity for it just like so. Nice. Then duplicate the main text again, but change the color. So we are going to select the pink theme that we're going with, so just pink like this. Okay, then I'm going to bring it down a little bit to give it like a different type of feel. This is different from what I did here, if you guys should know. You see, there is no thing there. This is different. Yes, then I'm going to reduce the opacity and enter into this one and just add an outer glow to it. You have to work around the thing that you're like, the design that you're working with. Just go around, go crazy. Make sure whatever you're doing, like, you're breaking the rules, all right, but you're still sticking to the normal design fundamentals. I mean, the alignments, all those things. So now I'm done. I'm just done. You understand? So if you look closely at this, you see there is this shadows here that I added. It is not much. I just created a new layer on the main text and clipped it into the text, and selected pink. So I selected pink, and yeah, I started brushing on the parts that I deem necessary. So let's see, this side I'll just brush on this side. For this side too, I'll just brush on this side, and for this side too, I mean, it's not much. I just had to work with what I could get, something like this. Yes, to make the text look more heavier. Yes, that is what I did. Yeah, so not much to add to the whole thing. Okay, so guys, the text is done. Let's move on to the finishing touches. So basically, finishing touches is what you add to your design after you're done to give it the final look. It's like adding salt to a soup. You've done a very nice soup, you've not added the salt to the soup, so the soup is not tasty yet. The moment you add the salt to the soup, you're good to go. So I mean, when it comes to the finishing touches, it depends. You can leave the work like this, you can do whatever you want to do, but in my case, my finishing touch is going to be glows. You understand? So you see the glow that we created on top of the image, I'm just going to duplicate one, drag it to this side, and open it like this to the other side of the design. Reduce the opacity, duplicate again, drag it to the left side like so, and yeah, I'm going to lock it like this. And there's one thing that I tried doing when I was doing the original work. It was this light thing. I mean, it looks more like a blank type of situation, something like this, but it didn't really work with me. I didn't really like the feel of it, so I didn't add it. But then this can also be part of the finishing touches if you deem it to be so. I mean, yeah. So guys, basically this is how I went over the work. The additional things was the produced by the parental advisory thing and all those things. Yeah, so yeah, there's not much out to see. So guys, already the video is long enough. I don't want it to be much longer, so I'm going to end here. This is it. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section. I'm going to post this on my Instagram too, so if you are watching this video now, it is more on my Instagram. You can ask any question you want to ask under the comment section. Yes, so guys, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll make sure to see you. And yes, graphic design contest episode 10 is on the way, and guess what, it is going to be on color grade. Yes, it's going to be on color grade. So sharpen your color grading skills, because dude, we're going to get over the bar. So yeah guys, kindly subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll make sure to see you in the next one. Bye bye.